Hello peeps and hello peppers and happy International Wheelchair Day. Hello stranger, it's great to have you here. Welcome. If you've never been here, my name is Frida Martins. I am an artist with multiple disabilities from Germany living in Iceland, and on Saturday and or Sunday I am always doing some random rambling, mostly about life with a disability. Uh, Today, celebrating the International Wheelchair Day, I seated myself in my Super Trooper classical car here. Okay, you can't even see the frame here, but maybe that's the part of the point that in many activities where I join, people say the people who participate in this activity seem so happy and fulfilled that nobody sees the wheelchair anymore. Well, of course, this with this statement where it sounds very positive. Of course, it's great if that is this way, but I also think we're walking a little bit on thin ice, because if you don't see the wheelchair anymore, that means you don't see the needs that the wheelchair produces. Actually, the wheelchair sort of tells me to take more space. I am personally an ambulatory wheelchair user and a clutterer, and I find it funny that in the background they have this Quality Street box here. I know I'm not sponsored by this brand, but when you're outside with a wheelchair, you need a Quality Street, and you need a pavement that works, and you need actually, especially now in this sudden appearance of Iceland's winter again, you need a reliable snow cleaning service, because otherwise you won't get around in a wheelchair. My wheelchair is called Cherie, or Geraldine, after Geraldine Chaplin and after Cherry Halliwell, the Spice Girl. Because yeah, I'm a kid of the 90s, so I basically I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was like half a year old, because some genius told my mother this baby doesn't move the legs. And then my parents actually carried me around and or put me into a stroller until I was too big for that, and until I saw the birds on a holiday. I'm still like, look, a bird, as a slogan of the ADHD community. I also have autism and ADHD, if that's significant. So I was like, literally, look, a bird, and I started running after the birds. And actually, that's where everybody, including my noble self, figured out that I could walk. And my parents thought that was great, and my parents were religious, so they thought that was a miracle. As I grew older, actually, I figured out that it's not necessarily intelligent to show the world that I can walk, because, like, for instance, in airports, I basically have to order a wheelchair, and I have to tell them I need someone to push that wheelchair. Otherwise, they will just park me like somewhere in the landscape, and I've been called to the gate a lot and almost didn't make it. So sometimes I need to tell people I'm a wheelchair user, period, in order to get help at all. And like in the more recent past, I met a grown woman who says she only uses the wheelchair in the house, because like the surroundings outside the house are not wheelchair adapted at all. And like back to the point of being a child of the 80s, grown up in the 90s, that also brought such an attitude that many of the adults of the 80s actually told my parents and me that a wheelchair is a monster. Hoo hoo hoo. Like today, I'm drawing monsters in wheelchairs because I'm actually doing a graphic novel about a monster that can barely walk but is interested in the human world in the same way I was interested in the birdos as a kid. So yes, the sea monster needs to learn how to operate a wheelchair. This is an electric wheelchair because actually, like, let's say Cherry is a mechanical wheelchair, and like for the time being, I prefer a mechanical wheelchair because I can fold it myself and I can load it onto a bus or into a car with some help. I mean, but it still weighs. They asked me that at some point at an airport. Like Cherry weighs 16 or 18 kilos. I forgot. Compared to that, the Walker 30 weighs like 5 kilos if it's empty. So I can go with that wherever. And my friends in electric wheelchairs have reported, let's say, significantly more obstacles because like electric wheelchairs weigh something 200 kilos or more. Can weigh that. I have never weighed one, but I have got the info that like the ramp on the city bus here says maximum 250 kilos, and that is already less than a particular electric wheelchair with passenger would weigh. So maybe we have to adjust the buses. But okay. I kind of alternate between Styx, walker, and wheelchair. And like now that okay, this is a tarot design actually, but it's connected to the graphic novel. Now that I have the lovers like right beside the wheelchair user, I actually decided to recite this point as well, that since I was brought up with the thought that the wheelchair was a monster, and to the explanation, not excuse, for the adults, we lived in a very old house with a humongous staircase. That would probably not have worked with a wheelchair on a longer term, and when I had to like temporarily use a wheelchair, actually 2 adults carried me up on a chair up the stairs on a wooden chair, and I felt like a princess in a stage play. But let's say once I was up there for the next 3 months. That was kind of interesting. And if someone actually is interested in quirky everyday stories, I'll tell you the story of the burning rubber ball and the wheelchair next time. But yeah. When I am using a wheelchair in today's time, and I'm living in a wheelchair adapted apartment that I'm obviously stuffing with so many souvenirs and other things that I need to consciously create turning places. Today, this wheelchair gives me more energy. So I think I've mentioned numerous times that like I am on this spectrum that you call asexual, aromantic. And I'm still figuring out how much juicy stuff and romance and falling in love would actually happen in my life if I had more energy. And I actually think that is a pretty positive perspective. Like, in today's time, I know that the wheelchair is not a monster. I am actually started to like get more interested and more strong for cooking. Now that I don't have to think about every step that I take. I mean, like, if I don't use the wheelchair, I really have to think about every step, and I have to think about how I stand, because like this, I can only show this in my hand here, like this is what is so round in the hand. In the foot, this is of course L-shaped, and this L is always like cramping if I'm standing more than 5 minutes. It's actually not intelligent to ask me to empty a dishwasher or something while I'm standing, or I have to stand like with an exoskeleton, read like either such a rubber sock that you use for thrombosis, or shoes that look like military boots. And I don't know if we want to do that fuss for like just making me empty someone's dishwasher. Let's don't. But let's say when I am with Jerry, then I can actually do things without constantly having to think about how to walk and stand. Okay, like, to be fair, now my entire spine hurts because now I have to figure out how to sit. But we'll figure that out with time. And actually, this makes me more optimistic to take more space beforehand. Like, for instance, today I was at church with only the sticks. That, of course, required that I had a disability taxi to the church and went to the bus stop that is really close to the church on the way back. Now, with a wheelchair, I might, like, for instance, I have phoned a concert hall at some point. I'm coming with a wheelchair. In the olden golden days, I got even like a free ticket for a company. Is that still so? And what should I actually do to get reasonable wheelchair access that is like in the best interest of everybody? Then I got a really nice answer, and then I did what the people told me, and that there are like only specific wheelchair places, and I really have to bring my own wheelchair, because if I decide to sit on a chair, I won't get a free company. And I had such a nice time with a friend and a really nostalgic performer. And my friend and I had such a good time that the friend then invited me for dinner for a thank you. The friend cooked and lived in a very narrow apartment where I probably wouldn't have got in with a wheelchair, but so we discussed that beforehand. So I took Ferdinand the walker, and Ferdinand the walker is also foldable. Actually, let's say when I have guests, Jerry lives a good life folded in the shower, because I usually shower in the pool. So I barely use that shower. And if my friends want to use the shower, let's say, then it's just time to move Jerry to the, I don't know, to the kitchen or something that we don't use at the moment. So, but let's say when I'm going to the movie theater, I actually ask, is this movie theater going to be very full? Because our local art house movie theater only has like 2 niches for wheelchairs slash 30s. And let's say at the film festival, when someone comes with a heavier wheelchair, then it's getting a little bit adventurous. Or if we are multiple people with whatever structures on wheels on the bus. So actually, I advocate for taking space, clear communication, and like also communicating beforehand whatever you know beforehand. Of course, there can always come something up, but I think Cheery will be a communication tool and enable me to do more things in life. Amen. Bye bye.